All right, hello internet. I'm going to talk about my RimWorld Odyssey playthrough I did over the summer. I spent a disgusting amount of time on this expansion. I think it's fantastic. I enjoyed it a lot. It does so much for the game. I did Odyssey and I did Ideology for the first time as well. I was super late to Ideology. I thought both of them were just such fantastic additions to the game. They really did a lot. I did a run earlier this year, or a colony playthrough earlier this year, where I did a lot of biotech and a lot of it's mainly just a lot of biotech stuff. And I talked about that before. But this one's just gonna be about this Odyssey colony. And this colony was pretty crazy. And I had a ton of fun with it. So I think the first thing I should talk about is probably the ideology, because that kind of shaped everything for this playthrough or for this colony. So you can look through. It started us off as we were space raiders, essentially. Not like we were just regular raiders, but I did the Odyssey playthrough starter, so we were in space. But this was my first time ever using ideology, and it really does so much for the game. This is my ninth, 10th colony. I've played a lot of RimWorld, but this is the first time I've used ideology, which is fucking insane. I don't know why it took me so long to get this or to use it, because I'm broke. But this ideology, we were raiders and we were raiders and we were individualists. So pretty much the big memes that affected this colony is that we want to raid. Like everyone in here, they love raiding. We're all okay with stealing. We're okay with like killing. We're okay with organ harvesting and all that. We're just kind of a bunch of psychos. Really, it's a this is definitely the most morally wrong colony I've ever had. When I play RimWorld, I'm usually, I'm on the side of players that doesn't really, do a bunch of heinous crimes. But this playthrough, I did do a ton of terrible stuff. And everyone who is a part of our ideology, they're all functionally insane. So because of that, we had to do a lot of raiding. There's a lot of raiding that they wanted, which really made the whole Odyssey part, like the grav ship and everything, such it just works so well together because we can just fly around. Sheep join. Cool. Wonderful. I love some sheep. Generate the planet. What we did is we would fly around to settlements like this. Eventually, sometimes I would go to the like if there are logging sites or whatever, I'd go to those. But I would really just fly to actual settlements and just fuck them up. And that made everyone happy because there would be, where is it? Recent conquest. People would love that. And then all the other factions loved it because we were just killing these dudes. So despite the fact that we were like, breaking the Geneva Convention, doing a bunch of horrible war crimes and like, stealing people's organs and mutilating them and all that, everybody was cool with us because we just flew around and we raided the people everyone hates. So that was a lot of fun doing that. I guess I should talk about the grav ship. I tried my best not to make the grav ship a giant box, although if you look at it, it's just a giant box that's a little fancy here and there. This is the end size for my grav ship. I don't think I'm gonna make it any bigger. See, I'm already almost at the maximum amount of grav ship. Where are these tiles, panels, whatever? So we've got here our hospitals right here, close to the entrance. We've got our laboratory right over here. Two shield generators over here. Our door, plasteel auto door, and then a vac barrier for when I go to space. I don't really do that much anymore because I don't really need to. Over here was going to be just hydroponics. Oh my God, there's like someone got 6 stars outside. It was just gonna be hydroponics, but I didn't have the resources to do that, so I turned it into storage. Storage was definitely a point of contention because you only have so much space with the grav ship, so you're definitely gonna run out of storage. That was a big micromanagement thing I had to work on a lot, and that's just RimWorld. In the end, once you get too much shit. Over here are the bedrooms. Bedrooms were another thing that were a bit tricky to figure out. Now the bedrooms are all like they're pretty decent. They look good. But for the longest, people would have to sleep in barracks or there would be pretty small rooms. These rooms are already, they're small. As you can see, it's cramped, but really these are kind of ideal bedroom sizes. Really, you could go a little smaller. Actually, no, I think this is fine. Enough for like a bed, dresser, and like end table is good enough. Colonists don't spend a lot of time awake in their rooms, so they don't get space debuffs or anything. In case you didn't know that. Over here we have all our transhumanist stuff, so biosculptor pods, neural superchargers, stuff like that. I have 2 sangophages. Well, I have 4 now, actually, and I'll talk about that when I talk about the characters. But here is, got some 2 death rest caskets here, sleep accelerators, blah blah blah. This whole general area is dining and rec. We also hold the parties here, because another thing that came from my ideology is that they have dance parties. It's pretty sick. We have the dance party, we have the Sky Lantern Festival, gladiator duels, which is pretty fun, and a couple other things that our leader can do. I'll also talk about when I talk about the characters, because the characters are really what make RimWorld. The game is all about the characters. It's a storytelling generator, and that's really why I love this game so much. Here's our kitchen. It's full of insect jelly condiments. I have the gourmet meals mod. You here have a bunch of really good chefs, so we have really good food, so everyone's always in a good mood. I mean, this is an in-game colony, so everyone's always going to be, super jazzed to be alive. They're just thriving. Back here we had our pantheon, which we needed because we had a open symbol that we needed to put down for our ideology. This is just the this is where rituals and everything takes place. Each ideology has one, and we just needed a spot to put it that it can't have bedrooms and it can't have workstations. So I just mixed it together with my rec room. Both unbelievably impressive. Over here we have more bedrooms. And where are these fishing zones? Sure. You can see the whole floor is made of pink or purple carpet, because that's our ideology color. This was pretty expensive to do, and then I wanted to switch it to fine carpet, at least in here. I don't have the cloth for that. Over here, but we'll get there eventually, maybe if I keep playing. Over here is the barracks. Not the barracks, this is the prison, very different. We have a couple blood bags here. You see no legs, no legs, no legs. And then here, I tried to make like a little movie theater. I can't stand how it isn't centered, but I can't do that because I don't have any room. It gets the job done. I try not to think about it. I try not to look at it. We also just needed another, this is similar to the open symbol here, but for a different ideology. We need this because people are getting pissed off about not having their grand altar. So I shoved it in here with the TV. And yeah, this is like a little movie theater. It never gets used. And all my hours playing RimWorld, I've never really seen a lot of colonists use TVs outside of the hospital. But I mean, I just had this fucking TV, so I figured I'd throw it down. Who cares? Back here is the workshop. Here we've got our large chem fuel tanks, small one there, but 2 large chem fuel tanks. One small one. This is really all we needed. There's like the large tanks kind of cover everything that we need for like range and all that. We didn't really, you don't really need like super long range. I mean, look at this. Look at where we can go. We're set. That's all I really needed in terms of chem fuel tanks. We have generators here. And these generators are over here because I tried to keep them out the way, especially away from the chem fuel. Although they are right next to the large chem fuel tank, but they're blocked by the hull. I was just really worried about explosions. And like the 200 hours I spent in this colony, the ship never exploded like that, but I was always worried about it. Maybe I played too much FTL. Back here, there's no roofing. So that lets us get solar power, which was fantastic. I think I found it from someone on Reddit, because I played this expansion right when it came out, like the month it came out. So there wasn't like too much knowledge on what was the meta, what was efficient, which I think is really fun, because I kind of got to see how the community learned about the mod and everything. I got to learn with everyone. I really like that because now there's like optimal grav ship positions and layouts and everything. It was cool seeing like people discover this tech and then doing it, and that's just really fun being a part of discovery. Anyways, that's pretty much the grav ship. We have the shuttle here and a couple transport pods and stuff. The shuttle is such a phenomenal addition to the game. I adore this thing, and I adore the grav ship, and I adore the Odyssey mod. I think that pretty much covers the grav ship. And this is our home base. Usually when I ramble about my rimworld colonies, I'll talk about the base. It takes a while, but since we have a nice, concise grav ship, there's not too much to talk about. Batteries over here, just to take any excess power from the solar generator. But really, 2 solar generators. Then the 4 industrial chem fuel generators, these are from mods. These give like 2400 power, which is insane. Very, very good mod. It pretty much powers everything. And I have a small one here. I really probably don't need this, but it's there because why not? The next thing I should talk about are the characters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the characters in order of acquisition. They're ordered now by lore. It's funny enough to say, but you'll understand what I mean, that they're organized by lore. I do when I explain their like what happened. So I started off, it was Lucia up there and Kai. Actually, I'm just gonna put them in order first. I believe it was like this. Okay, I've got all the characters in order of acquisition. I had to. Why is there a stop out here? Get this out of here. Get that shit out of here. I had to go back and look at some old screenshots to remember who was who. So we started off with these 3, Lucia, Rinnick, and Kai. And originally, Rinnick was, right now you can see she's age 36. She was like age 70 or something when I first got her. She was age 70 and Kai was age like 60-ish. So I started off with Lucia, who's also 50. I just started off with a bunch of old ladies. It was the 3 of us, not us, 3 of them, old ladies. Well, yeah, us. Old ladies with no social. You can see no social here, no social here, but really good shooting and intellect. And then Lucia was the only one with social. So it was Lucia with a bunch of 2 psychopathic grandmas, which was an insane start for an Odyssey run through, especially since we were raiders and everything. So that's who we start with. Lucia is easily the leader of the colony. That's like not even a debate. But Lucia's also, she was really like insidious. Like despite her being sanguine, fun-loving, the too smart is very true. She's low-key the most evil of all the colonists. A lot of this shit that happened, she like was really manipulative. It was pretty interesting. And I believe it's just because she was the only one we had with social for the longest. So she was really good at getting people to like her. As you can see now, not a lot of people do like her much anymore. Well, I guess everyone does now because she's the leader. She did speeches. But it would go from everyone hating her to everyone liking her to everyone hating her to everyone liking her. Because she did some slimy shit. But I'll just talk about this pawn's stats. Look, she is very, very good. Is kitted out in almost everything. Has a ton of abilities. Originally, she kind of started as she was really just the glue of the colony, because Rinnick and Kai didn't have any colony building skills. They had shooting and intellect, so Rinnick would just research all the time, and Kai just has shooting. And she just has shooting right now because she is a sniper as a part of our ideology, so she doesn't do any like other labor. But even without she didn't have a lot of stats, and she couldn't construct. Her mining was terrible, cooking was terrible, plants was terrible. She was terrible at everything but shooting and medical, which was very helpful. So really, a lot of our games was just from raiding, which was cool, and I like that because that's very different from how I've played. I've usually always just got it from the ground on my bootstraps and everything, just build everything myself. So it was a lot of fun playing differently, where I just kind of steal everything. I enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, Lucia Sylvester, she is definitely the leader of the colony. Has a Psylink level 3, bunch of bionics. You'll see everyone has a shit ton of bionics. They're all really kitted out. Sanguine, which is like easily one of my favorite traits. Too smart, fun loving, and just really good at a ton of things. Really strong pawn. And she was low-key like the light Yagami of this playthrough. And I really liked how everything like played out according I can't explain it, because that's the thing about rimworld. They're very personal games. It's hard to explain everything without showing it. But she definitely, everything was according to Keikaku with Lucia. Next is Rennick. He's an athlete, a stiletto assassin. Oh, I didn't talk about Lucia. You see, it's a pod child, cannon fodder that like became fucking raiding overlord. Good character development. But Rennick, athlete, stiletto assassin. Heat inclined and world wary, so she's a little depressed. Started off with really good shooting. Animals was good, but we didn't really have any animals because it's hard to take care of animals on a graph ship. Really good intellect. And like I mentioned before, she was, yeah, you can see her chronological age is 101 years. This bitch is old as fuck. She started at like age 60 something. She had several brain injuries like dementia and Alzheimer's that we had to fix via brain surgery. But I guess she doesn't have that anymore because I used a youth serum, and now she's age 36. Gave her nice blonde hair. I kind of wanted her to look like Nina from Tekken. So, because stiletto assassin, I thought it worked out. But before, she had some crazy afro hair. And she had like crazy white afro hair because she was super old. It was really fucked up, but it really fit her character. Rennick is insane, just like Lucia and Kai. Because of her ideology, they get no debuffs from like torturing prisoners or taking organs or killing people or corpses or anything like that. She doesn't give a fuck. It doesn't bother them, which was also something I really liked about this playthrough, because I could just do heinous things and nobody really cared as long as they were part of my ideology. You can see her health. She has bionic eyes, bionic spine. She's a really good sniper, but I gave her a minigun. But she has quick aiming, so she kind of just, where is she? We'll have her go outside and shoot this car. This aiming perk is insane. Look out, she's gonna shoot instantly. Which is really fucking good when you have a minigun, because you can just, look at that. That is an absurd amount of aiming time. Look how quick it is. You just send out volleys after volleys. So she's very strong, and a lot of my other pawns have that as well, my shooters. That's Rennick. Kai, similar to Rennick, was another maniac, but Kai just couldn't. She has no social. She had no social even before becoming the sniper. She just doesn't talk to anyone. Kind of just like, I don't know. Rennick reminded me of Revi from Black Lagoon, and then Kai is like, there's an apt comparison somewhere, but I can't think of it right now. She's just a silent. She's a bioweapon. Yeah, right here. She's a bioweapon cyber dilettante. He was starting to roam away. Fucking kill it. Kill him. Fresh meat. But Kai, similar to Rennick, was just a very good combatant pawn. You can see she has really good melee, really good shooting too. Her shooting, I mean, triple flame here is insane. Critical passion. So she was better at shooting than Rennick for the longest, and she handled a lot of raids by herself and handled all the hunting by herself. So Kai was crucial for defense and for getting food and everything. We mainly just eat meat. You see, we make gourmet carnivore lavish meals because we just would always get meat. We didn't really have the hydroponics, and we couldn't really farm. So Rennick would just always go out and hunt. You can see because of her social, she just can't really talk to other people, but she just gets her job done, and I couldn't ask for any more. Another thing is she's clumsy though. So every now and then she'll just get random bruises. She is literally a psychopath, but I feel like everyone is already a psychopath through the ideology. There's a lot of the psychopath benefits, because psychopath is a fantastic trait. It is a very good trait, but all the benefits from it, I kind of get from my ideology. So it's a little bit redundant, but I like that it is an actual trait. Like, she is deeply rooted, there's something wrong with her more than anyone else to make her an actual psychopath. She has hearing loss because of, she's old as hell. Archotech eye, bionic eye, protective exoskeleton, bionic spine, Archotech leg. Kai was crucial for pretty much every conquest or every battle or anything that I did in this game. Anything involved in combat, Kai was necessary for it, and did very good. And because of her good medical, she was our only medic for a very long time. Lucia's medic is at 6, which is good. Renix is at 4, which is good. But 13 with a flame, she saved a lot of lives. So after that, auto-saving. After that, we had Cordova, who was also an old lady, but isn't anymore, because you can see she's a Sangophage. I believe we got Cordova from a space battle. She just fell from the sky, and Kai rescued her. A lot of the people that we rescued didn't want to stay. So what I would do is I would imprison them, of course, and then usually I would have Lucia, with her good social, would recruit people, which is, that's typically how it's done in rimworld. That's basic 101, getting new colonists. But also, I would have Lucia do trials, and I would accuse a lot of people and then put them into slavery and get free work for them, just because it kind of felt in character with the raider colony. It definitely made me question my own morality, but it's a video, right? Right. So Cordova was an old lady who is now a Sangophage. I believe she got Sangophage genes just from the Sangophage quest, where they fall through the sky, and we just beat the shit out of the vampire and stole her genes. Cordova is a good person. You can see she is not a part of our ideology. She's part of a different one. This is the holiest ideology. They are good people. They kind of the opposite of my main ideology, of the factions ideology, but she doesn't get a lot of debuffs from it, although she does not like corpses or murder, anything like that, even though she is pretty good at it. For the longest, Cordova she was good at mining, and she kind of just did a lot of the Charlie work in between, while she did a lot of the colony building. I'm not gonna say it's Charlie work. She did a lot of the colony building because Rennick and Kai were incapable. They just weren't good at any of it. But Cordova was pretty huge, good with animals, so she helped a lot with taming, especially see this Elder Thrumbo here, a couple other pets. And since she's a Sangophage, she works on a night schedule, which is pretty great for productivity. So we're getting stuff done day and night. Good at mining, good at crafting, which was actually the best thing about her. I really like having crafting and artistic pawns, and Cordova is both also very good at intellectual. But we kind of got that covered by Rennick. So Cordova didn't do too much researching. She was mainly for crafting and artistic. So Cordova kind of made all the gear, all the equipable gear. She handled all of that and handled weapons for the longest. You can see my pawns are pretty kitted out. Well, I guess not this one. But yeah, that was Cordova's main thing. But once she became a Sangophage, she also kind of became our sweeper. A lot of the outposts and quests in Odyssey are kind of RTS sweep and clear type of things, where you go inside outposts and you gotta clear them out safely. Cordova was really useful for that because she was so resilient. Sangophages might be the biggest power spike in rimworld. I think they just give you so much power, so many options going forward. So she was able to sweep a lot of like outposts and wouldn't get too hurt by like hunters or by wasp drones or by enemy colonists or by mechanoids or anything. And if she did, you know, you got fucking super fast healing and deathless and all this. So even though she wasn't a fantastic combat pawn, like her shooting's 4 and her melee wasn't very high, and her, I mean, you see her learning speed for it is 8.8. It took forever to even get her to 12. I think she started at like 8. That being said, she was good enough. She got the job done. And this Zeus hammer here was fantastic. The Odyssey, I don't, what do you call it? The start or whatever, you're getting chased by mechanoids. And a lot of the combat in Odyssey is mechanoid related. Not all of it, but a majority of it is kind of a fight against the mechanoids. So getting her this Zeus hammer was very, very useful and was kind of like her defining weapon. Definitely, if you know, these guys all die and 100 years in the future, their weapons are relics, this Zeus hammer would definitely be a relic of this faction. So yeah, Cordova is our vampire sweeper, but she's not well liked, actually, which is kind of strange. I think it's because they're all rivals. Interesting. She was friendly with a lot of people. It's funny, she's friendly with the faction leader, but nobody else from the faction. So she's on Lucia's good side, but no one else is. That's interesting. But she's also, she has a bad opinion of everyone. Everyone else likes her, probably just because she's beautiful as a Sangophage. Yeah, Cordova kind of just like did her own thing. Being a vampire, she was really only around in the night, even though she's up right now during the day. But yeah. Next is Ben. I believe we got Ben from a raid, and then we transferred his ideology to ours via Lucia. And Ben was the only pawn besides Lucia that we had with good social. As you can see, Cordova's social was terrible too, and she only got it up to 6 from being a Sangophage. So for the longest, I had these 4 motherfuckers who were just socially awkward as hell and just psychopathics. So it was interesting getting another one who was good at social. So Ben and Lucia, they got along really well at the start, and you can even see that Lucia is Ben's wife. Like halfway through the playthrough, they got married, but you can see Lucia is Ben's wife, but not his lover. So, you know, some drama happened there. I'll talk about that when we get to the character that caused all of it. Ben is a good pawn. Ben was a pretty good doctor for us, and Ben was our cook for the longest because we didn't have a good cook. I think we were having, Rennick was our cook for a while, and then we moved to Cordova, but even Cordova's cooking is at 4. Food was a pretty big struggle for the start of the game. Up until we got Ben, we struggled a lot with food and food poisoning because nobody was, what are you doing? Why are you just wandering? That means there's probably something he wants to do that's getting blocked by a mod or whatever. There's like a lot, there's storage issues here. I mean, 7, there's problems. I probably just need to leave this tile and go somewhere else, but whatever. Build this RAM. So yeah, Ben was a saving grace for cooking. You see, feeding is his expertise, so he makes all the food. Artistic was okay. Social was good, and shooting is good. So Ben was a pretty solid addition. I really liked having a good cook finally. It's relieved a lot of stress of the game. And the social was pretty helpful too, because we got a lot of prisoners we were always raiding. So it was nice having Ben around to warden as well with Lucia. You can see Ben had asthma, so we gave him some synthetic lungs, a bionic arm to help with manipulation with cooking. His legs are still fucked up. I think we were working on getting him some bionics for this, but I didn't really, Ben wasn't much of a combat pawn. Really, it was just Rennick and Kai and Lucia. Actually, Lucia is a pretty good shot. But when any raids or anything happened, it was these 3 who handled that. Ben and Cordova handled everything else. And Ben became the chaplain for our ideology. So he's like second in command to Lucia, which I felt worked because these 2 were married for a while. They were married for for about like half the playthrough until drama struck. So soon after Ben, I got Doc, and I believe I got Doc from a cryosleep casket in space. Got him from there, and he is a transhumanist, or yeah, he's a transhumanist, but it's called humanitism. This is his ideology. Doc does not like the main faction's ideology at all. There were a lot of issues with Doc's mood when we first got him, because bro, he was just pissed all the time. He did not really like being on this ship with a bunch of murderous psychopaths. He's happy now, but for the longest, Doc was a big issue in terms of social fights and mental breaks and, you know, all of the above. Oh, and I never mentioned, but I am playing on, this is a scenario, it's the grab ship scenario. And then how do I see the, this is my storyteller settings. Randy, strive to survive. Yeah, so I am playing on Randy Random because it's the best storyteller, in my opinion. He needs medical operations. Lottie does. For what? No, Dragonfly does. For what? Bionic leg. Cool. So yes, Doc is a part of humanitism. He's a transhumanist. So what he really wanted was a lot of bionics. That's what this ideology loves. They love bionics, as you can see. Transhumanist transform. It's buffed from that. Monosword is a noble weapon from humanitism. And he also wants these things, neural superchargers, and wants sleep accelerators. And another thing they want is here in the biosculptor pods, you can do age reversal cycles, which is something the transhumanists also really want. But I gave Doc the vampire genes. Cordova implanted her genes on Doc, so now Doc is ageless and deathless from the genes. So he doesn't really need the age reversal because he doesn't age, which I thought was a pretty cool solution to that need. I was really I really liked how that turned out for his character. You can see he's a herder as a child and a herder as an adult. He was good with animals, but not like fantastic. Herder gives you shooting and animals. He's ascetic. So for the longest, I just had Doc in like I'm pretty sure I just had him like over here, and he just had one bed, and he loved it because ascetics don't want good bedrooms. They're pretty chill with dull bedrooms. I can't make this one awful because it's just full of stuff. I probably could make the death rest casket worse, and I could maybe make the bed worse, but there's not really any need, especially not anymore. See, he's got a ton of the single phage abilities, long jump, which is fantastic. I love the skill. You know, fucking who needs jump hacks when you got long jump? Really good at melee, really good at construction, was really good at cooking. Covered a lot of cooking with Ben. Ben and Doc are our only cooks. Well, they're not our only cooks, but they were our main cooks. They fed the whole colony, and they did a damn good job at it. Good at artistic, good at medical. Social was okay. And the int was okay. Overall, Doc was a really good punt, which is why I decided to keep him. Despite all the problems that he brought socially, the benefits outweighed the negatives. You can see he is sickly. You know, he has an awful immune system, so he would always get diseases, but at this point, especially after becoming a single phage, he doesn't get any more diseases. I'm pretty sure he has all of them, so there's not really anything left for him to get. Up next, we have Theophila. And Theophila is interesting. She has really good shooting, comparable to Kai's, and has really good crafting, good construction, thick-skinned, which is helpful. Wailing will bleed much more slowly than most. Fisherman, which is, I like that. I really like fishing. I really like the addition of fishing in this game. It was such a great addition. Who knew? Everyone loves fishing. Fishing is just perfect for video games. But Theophila, I originally got her, I believe it was from, I don't know if it was from a space battle or a raid. She's just wandering around. Oh, it's her wreck. She's just taking a walk. But I intended for Theophila to be Lucia's bodyguard. That's how they started out. Because you can see they're really good friends. They're super good friends, but everyone loves Theophila because she's just a good person. Well, she did. Listen, man, the moods of the characters changes all the time. I'm telling you what was the average. I wonder why they don't like them. Lighted. Well, they're all friends still. Interesting. Something might have happened to make the wait. This doesn't like Theophila. Why not? Oh, because their ideology. Interesting. So transhumanists, they slavery is horrible, execution is horrible. I'm pretty sure, yeah, sex. You only have sex with your partner. Now, everyone who is not a transhumanist here, or what is it? Humanitism? Everyone who's not part of humanitism, they're all sex freaks. Everyone else in this colony, they're all sex freaks. So, the humanists don't really like that. They're not big fans of it, but it is what it is. You gotta get your rocks off. Anyway, Theophila started out as Lucia's bodyguard because I got her and I didn't really know what to do with her. So I just was like, okay, she's just gonna be kind of a cannon fodder raid pawn. If anything happens, she'll be on the front lines. Turns out she was really good at fighting and she was on the same level as Rennick. So she never was really in too much danger, kind of handled everything pretty well. But what she did do is, despite her and Lucia being very, very good friends, she fucking cucked Lucia and took her men. So now she was lovers with Ben, and it was she seduced Ben. It wasn't the other way around. It was definitely it's not gonna be in the logs, unfortunately, because it happened a very long time ago. But Theophila cucked Lucia, which damn near destroyed the colony. There was a lot of animosity between these three, which sucks because Lucia was a super important pawn and Ben was a super important pawn. So there was a bunch of beef going on here. And then Doc was always pissed because of his ideology, and Cordova was just kind of chilling, doing whatever. These three were kind of just doing whatever, but Ben was so important for food. Doc was so important for food. Lucia was so important for like main quest stuff and keeping everything together. And Theophila was just dangerous because she has such good shooting. If anything went wrong, or if she went berserk or anything went crazy, she could have like killed people very easily. I'll just put them back in the order that I had them. Also, these three, the main three, they fought a lot. They killed each other a lot. For some reason, the game blessed me with like 3 Resurrector and Mech Serums very early on in the game. Lucia and Rennick had a social fight once, and Lucia punched Rennick's head clean off. So we had to use a Mech Serum there. Kai went out to a raid and got like slaughtered by a bunch of Neanderthals. So we had to swoop in and use a Mech Serum there. And I think Lucia killed Rennick twice because they just beefed a lot. Like they just didn't get along, but they were stuck together. So, that'll give you some idea of how their dynamic was. Theophila, everyone really likes her. She's a very friendly person, very nice, despite being a part of our ideology. I think she's probably the most morally just out of all the psychopaths, but she is still a psychopath like the rest of us. After that, we have Born. Born is a cannibal that we got from a raid, or Certainty's dropping quite a bit. We could convert her, but I kind of like her as a cannibal. It works well. She was a cannibal for the longest, and she was a slave for the longest. I probably should have brought this up for everyone else. You can look at. Yeah, this is probably how I should have been looking at the characters, huh? See the records, 425 kills. Look at Rennick. You see their market value. They're pretty expensive pawns as well. You're into 65 kills. It's interesting. Lucia has more kills than Rennick, but probably just more animal kills. And then Kai. 1,426 kills. This is fucking insane. Most of it was animals, but even still, that's a lot of bloodshed. A lot of headshots, a lot of damage dealt, a lot of shots fired. Super expensive pawn. Got Cordovas. Not as many kills. And not as expensive leather type. Human leather. Oh, that's what they... Okay. I really don't look in this menu a lot. But it has a lot of really good information. There's all this. Theophila. 748. Yeah, so Theophila, as I said, she initially was supposed to be a bodyguard, so I would send her out on a lot of raids and missions along with Rennick and Kai, because I didn't really want to send these guys out because they were necessary for building the colony and, you know, advancing to the next stages. These were our soldiers. Intensity, blah blah blah. Yeah. See all these stats. Pretty expensive colonist as well, not as good as Kai, but she's up there. So Born is who I was talking about. Born was a cannibal that came from a raid, and we downed her. I'm pretty sure we took her legs, as you can see, or we just took one leg. Yeah, she had a peg leg for the longest, but because she was a cannibal, everyone was not a big fan of her. But Lucia was a really big fan of Born, but kept her as a slave. It was really fucked up. And this was the first time I had ever used the whole slavery mechanic, which is a questionable way to describe slavery, but it was the first time I'd used it because this is also, like I said, my first time using ideology. So it was interesting because we kept Born just on the ship as a slave, and initially I intended to just have her as a blood bag for Cordova. That was her purpose for the longest, but as the game went on, Born really proved herself to be a quite useful pawn. You can see she's a hard worker, insatiable. Like I said, everyone in this colony, they're all sex freaks. Insatiable and greedy, but making her a slave, it like negated a lot of negatives from, like, you know, from not having a good bedroom and from her ideology. This is a cannibal ideology, so cannibalism is required. Executions are required, or you get a mood debuff. Slavery is disapproved. Interesting. Yeah, so I tried making her a colonist, but she was just pissed off all the time. There were so many negatives compounding from her ideology and other things, and, you know, being, you know, nobody really liked her. Everyone was pretty scared of her because she was a cannibal. She ate human meat. So what I did was make her a slave because she was just too useful of a pawn to keep as a prisoner. And her, like, her medical, she saved a lot of lives. Her crafting was very good, so her and Cordova would craft a ton of stuff. And there were a lot of scenarios where, as a slave, where Born kind of saved a lot of lives. She would run out during raids and, like, pick people up, or she would even, like, do some melee during raids. I'm pretty sure she saved Lucia's life a couple times and saved Ben as well, which I didn't expect considering her shooting in melee. It's good, but it's not as good as, like, everyone else's. But there were a lot of moments where she just shined. So eventually, you know, she got citizenship and is no longer a slave. But for, like, I'd say for 2/3, maybe half of the playthrough, she was a slave, but low-key one of the most important pawns, just out of merit from things that she had done. Doesn't really look that way through stats, but through, like, events that happened, Born, like, held her own and did a lot. You see time as a colonist, only 2.7 years. So maybe, okay, maybe she was slave for like 2/3 of the playthrough. Does it show time as a prisoner 30 days? It doesn't show time as slave. But yeah, I had her here, right next to Lucia's room, and this used to be a prison. As you can see, we have the terror sculptures over here, and there's a sculpture of Born that was made by Ben. Ben and Lucia were the main ones. They were the wardens, so they would always keep Born in check and keep the suppression high. And I just thought it was really funny that Ben made a statue of her and we put it in their room. I think it was heart attack. That's no good. You handle that. Yeah, you take care of Latios. Next we have Poskas, and this is nice. Well, Elias will go to his bed, right? Oh, he doesn't have one. Never. Next we have Poskas. Poskas was another humanist, probably what it would be called, humanist, and we got him along with Helena. They both came from cryosleep caskets in space. I think everyone you get from the cryosleep caskets in space will have, there's like an ideology for them. So we kind of got them as a 2-for-1. Poskas is a really good combat pawn. I'd say on the level of Kai. His shooting super good, melee super good. You see Shahid Living Cure, don't hold Atomic Bombardier. He is super immune and also a psychopath, and has a shit ton of bionics. Very, very, very strong pawn. Always has been super useful. Was pretty huge for construction and pretty huge for plants. Once hydroponics got set up, it was mainly Lucia and Poskas handling that because no one else was really good at plants. The plants are pretty important in RimWorld because like eventually you're gonna want Devil Strand, you're gonna want cotton, you're gonna need food, you're gonna need a bunch of other things. No, right now I just have rice because we make a lot of sushi because we do a lot of fishing. But the hydroponics here usually have like cotton, had heel root, which we needed for the longest because you need medicine, especially in Odyssey. Odyssey is a pretty difficult expansion, I'd say, compared to the others. It's pretty combat oriented, a lot more RTS-y than the other ones. So I can't tell now, but I ran through a ton of medicine. It was kind of insane. Socially, Poskas is, he's not super well liked, but has his homies. All the other people who are a part of his ideology, all the other humanists, they all get along. And I kind of keep them, they kind of do their thing. And Poskas really is just a super soldier. Same with Helena. I'll talk about it in just a minute. He's one of the super soldiers. They really just handle a bunch of combat. Let me bring up this. Here, colonist for 6 years. Super expensive on this, actually costs more than Kai, and it's because of all the bionics. Helena over here. Helena is a fast learner and brave. Really good at cooking, really good at plants. This was a very useful colonist. If I got her early, she would definitely be a lot more developed in like other forms, and other things. She'd have more stats like that. But we got her a little later. Was mainly just used as a soldier. Pretty much in the same vein as Poskas. They were definitely like a 2-for-1 deal. I think I just took them from the caskets and just dragged them over. And by that time, Lucia and Ben had pretty good social, so not converting, but recruiting was pretty easy. Converting was pretty much impossible. As you can see, their certainty is at 100. I tried my best to convert the humanists, but they just weren't having it. You can see Helena, fast learner, brave. Brave was very nice. Helena did a lot of heroic deeds, saved a lot of people. They were our melee unit. I really like having melee pawns in RimWorld. I would rather have shooters over melee, but having these three as dedicated melee pawns was huge. You just have them up in front as a wall, and then you have your shooters behind it, and that was very useful. And they were critical in fights against mechanoids, because mechanoids you really want to get up close against pretty much all of them except for like scythers. So, like, never underestimate melee pawns. Melee pawns are very strong. But the downside of that is, since their ideologies clash a lot, anytime there was a social fight, dude, they would beat the shit out of my colonists. These guys are just so strong in melee that they would just beat the shit out of these guys. It was kind of brutal. Obviously, the main faction, these guys, they fight back. They're not gonna, just stand there and take it, but they would lose fights because these guys are just so strong. Next, we had Lowry, and I'm pretty sure Lowry just came from a quest. He was a 13-year-old that I think just was running from a manhunter pack, if I remember correctly. So, there's not too much lore for Lowry because I just threw him in the growth vat and kept him in there until he became 18. Lowry is just a soldier. Sanguine, careful shooter. So I just made him a super soldier. Really good at shooting. Not too great at melee, good at mining, good at plants, good at medical. None of that really mattered. I just had Lowry on the front lines. You see Commando, Auxiliary. Only 2 years as a colonist. Pretty good amount of kills though. As you can see, there's a pretty big gap. For the longest, these were my main pawns. See here, time as a colonist. So it goes from 6 years to 2.5. So this was the main crew for pretty much the entirety of the playthrough. I beat the game with this group of colonists, and these three only showed up afterwards. I don't want to spoil too much for Odyssey, but when you beat the game, you can keep playing, or when you beat that type of ending, you can keep playing. It doesn't end like it does with the base game's ending, or with all the other endings. You go into space or you leave the rimworlds, so that doesn't happen with the with what I did for Odyssey. You have choices, but this was the main crew, these 10, and I feel like 10 is a pretty perfect number for Odyssey, especially since you have to be in the graph ship. 10 I felt was a very good sweet spot. There was enough room for bedrooms. Everyone had dedicated jobs. So once I had these 10, I really didn't want any more colonists, and I got these three. All these three were all kids. You can see Lowry's 20, Lottie's 14, Dragonfly's 14. So I kind of all got them as a matter of circumstance. A couple, well, not a couple, but Theophila did get pregnant, and none of these are her kids, so you can probably assume how that went. But I'm surprised nobody else, none of these kids were naturally obtained. What I'm trying to say. But yeah, Lowry is a super soldier. That's pretty much it. There's not really too much to him. Lottie is my favorite pawn. Pretty much. Well, I don't know about my favorite pawn, but I like Lottie a lot. Yeah, I got her decked out. She's on the computer playing some fucking Minecraft or whatever. Kids are very strong in RimWorld, as you can see. This is just an absurd amount of flames on a character. I feel like I'm playing Maple Story with all these flames. Brave, kind, and neat. She's a really good crack shot. As a kid, so we got Lottie from I can't speak. We got Lottie from a quest. I can probably find it here in the log. It's not this one. If I just look up Lottie's many friends. So, a 4-year-old child named Lottie is calling from nearby. She admits she profaned a peace ritual between Fiban and Toxoid Psychers. Now they're both chasing her. And when I read that, I thought that was brilliant, because she pissed off both of the factions that we don't like and was bringing them over to us. And that was just beautiful. I thought that would be a great episode if this was a fucking show. So of course I accepted the quest, and I felt like Lottie and Lucia, as you see, they sleep in the same room. I had Lucia raise Lottie, especially since you can see nobody else really had social in this colony. My colony is full of just a bunch of socially inept psychopaths. The only people with social are Lucia and Ben. And you see, Helena, Poscas, Dog, Cordova, they got it, but it's just from being sangophages. So they didn't really have it for a majority of the playthrough. It was Lucia and Ben, low-key butting heads because of like the cucking that happened. So they're butting heads, and they're kind of like always trying to one up each other while maintaining the rest of the colony and like keeping everything under wraps. It was really fun seeing how things played out. But Lottie, like I said, from the quest, she was a 4-year-old that had pissed off both of these factions that we were beefing with and brought them over here. So, the raid happened. It was a pretty big raid, but we were just so strong. We just fucking wiped them out. You can see, like, I'll bring them over here. You can see how strong just these two are with dual miniguns. But yeah, I had Lottie get raised by Lucia. So her shooting was insane. She was a child soldier. So like when she was old enough to wield a gun, which I think is like 13, or I think it's even younger than that. But as like a child, Lottie was just going out and just taking out whole raids. It was nuts. And it's a wonder she turned out to be brave and kind, being raised by some fucking insane psychopaths. But yeah, Lottie is pretty good friends with Lucia. As you know, Lucia is like, essentially Lucia is pretty much Lottie's mom. Like mother from another, well, not from another brother, but yeah, kind of like her surrogate mom, adoptive mom. Really good friends with Born. Everyone's good friends with Born. Actually, people really like Born, which is like, even as a slave, people really liked Born. So we had to, free her eventually. Lottie came later, so there's not too much like deep lore with her. She's just a really good pawn, and kids are just like really strong. 14. I was thinking of putting her in the growth vat to boost her, or just like skip the ages, because once you get to 13 is the end of the growth that you can give them. So but they're still kids technically, or they're like teenagers, so they're still technically weaker than an adult. So usually what you want to do is just growth vat them until 18, so they're full adults and then like fully capable pawns. I just want to show how strong these two are. Look at that. That's like, and because it's a minigun, what you do is you aim to the target in the farthest back, and everything in front of it gets hit. So as you can guess, raids were cake once these guys got developed. Yeah, these, and that's just these two. Theophila is an insane sniper and is good at shooting. Everyone is good at combat in this colony because everyone had to be, because there's just so much combat in Odyssey, and Randy just gave me a lot of raids. And the last colonist is Dragonfly. Dragonfly was another kid that just wandered in the colony. Kind of an idiot kind, but he's a Neanderthal, so he's dumb. But still, kids are just so strong in this game. He still has a lot of really good flames. If I had gotten him earlier, he would be really good at a ton of things. But, he's just a kid. I picked him up just because he had hyper faith, and Neanderthals are a pretty strong race in this game. His faith is not too, disruptive or anything. There's not too much to it. He doesn't really have a lot of negatives. But it is what it is. Recreation deprived. Why are you what are you doing recreation? Oh, it's because he's been injured. I don't know why. Oh, it's because I don't know why he's been sleeping. Actually, I don't know what he's doing. Who's playing the piano? But yeah, so that's all my colonists, and I had them arranged in such a way that they were all near their like respective group. So we have Lucy and Lottie, because Lottie showed up a little, she kind of saved the mood debuff from all the divorce, because they were just homies. They were hanging out. They were best friends for a little bit, not anymore. But, I have Lucy and Lottie, and then Rennick and Kai, kind of the soldier duo. Ben and Theophilia, they're lovers. Theophilia, cucked Lucia again. Born's here because Born kind of just in the middle of everybody. Everybody loves Born. It was just fitting in there. Medical emergency. Oh yeah, these are prisoners. They're all blood bags. Not really much. They're psychoed, so they need psychite. They have a dependency. So they kind of every month or so they just get an injection of yayo and they're living their best life, and then it comes back down and they're like, "What the fuck? I have no legs, I have no arms, and I must bleed for these vampire raiders." Good stuff. So Born's over here. Then we have all our humanists. Well, Cordova was over here. Now Cordova's kind of doing their own thing at night, chilling, doing, vamp anthem shit. Over here, these are the transhumanists. So I had them all next to each other. And, Lowry and Dragonfly, they exist in the colony. So I believe that's pretty much it. I think I've talked and rambled for about an hour now. There's not really much else to cover. Is there? I don't really think so. I don't really know what else to talk about. We have animals. Our worshipped species are turtles. So I got a couple turtles. I got this panda. Cool, because there are new animals and new biomes from the 1.6 update, which were pretty sick. We have this panda. We have this gorilla, because we did, 100 colonists versus one gorilla. The gorilla won. We have the Alpha Thrumbo here, who is pretty cool. But, I'm not going to say I was disappointed. Thrumbos are still very useful, but, it was okay. It was cool. Usually, in other playthroughs, I think when you have a stationary base, it's easier to have animals be, soldiers or have them at pinch points. But with this, it was it's interesting, because playing Odyssey, you don't have a lot of defenses outside of stuff like this. I mean, I could put Fire Taming Lucia, that could be really nice. I could put barbed wire and more sandbags and have places for them to pop out and shoot, but you only have so much space. And that was a pretty big thing I had to learn. I had to get pretty good at guerrilla warfare in RimWorld and combat using natural cover and kiting tactics, things like that, because I couldn't just make a kill box. Well, you can, and I have seen people make kill boxes in the entrance of their ship, but that's some pussy shit. I don't do that. So I kind of had to get pretty good at the combat in this game. I think I learned a lot from this Odyssey playthrough. Who else? We have these saber cats. We had a whole army of these things. We had 10 of them, which was not really a good idea because they went through all of our food. That's whatever. But during a raid, a whole bunch of them got really injured, so I sold half of them off, and I castrated the males so they would stop, getting the female pregnant. These are the main two. They're Latios and Latias, based off, the Pokemon. And then I have Jirachi here, also based off the Pokemon. They are bonded to Lucia, and this gorilla is bonded to Cordova. Then we have Quasimodo. It's just a cat. I think I just bought it from a trader. Whatever. I think that's it. This is my RimWorld colony. I really, really, really love this playthrough. I'm not sure. I mean, recency bias will play a factor for me saying that it's my favorite colony. It's definitely my strongest. Let's see. Our wealth is it peaked at 700,000. I don't think this is my wealthiest colony, but this is definitely my strongest. If I pitted all of my colonies against each other, this one would win. Easily, by quite a bit. I'm pretty sure they would wipe the floor with the rest of my colonists. And that's also just from years of playing this game. You get better at it, and you learn how to just make pawns stronger. And I mean, there's mods and stuff to help with that now. I'm even stronger. Give them more stuff. A lot of bionics on all of them. But then I think textiles trader. It's pretty huge. We get a lot of hyperweave. But I think to end this video, they're gonna have a midnight dance party. Because no matter how bad things got in this playthrough, it was always solved by a midnight dance party. Hell yeah. Odyssey is a great expansion. I really love it quite a bit. Maybe I'll do like a fucking rimworld expansion tier list. They're all pretty good. I have some thoughts about royalty, and I haven't played a lot of whatever the Eldritch one is, or the I can't remember, Anomaly. I haven't played a lot of Anomaly. I've looked at Anomaly. You kind of have to dedicate a run to it, so who knows? Maybe I'll be feeling some rimworld around October. I'll do one then. Get through their party. They're really grooving, man. Got air purity. Damn, even the Thrumbo's joining. It was boring. All right. Well, I'm pretty sure that's about it. I got nothing else to say. Rimworld is good. I love this game. Okay.